Right now, try something. For the next 10 seconds, think about absolutely nothing. No replaying, no planning, no quiet voice in the back of your head. You couldn't do it. Almost nobody can. There's a machine inside your skull that won't turn off, and you feel it most at 3 a.m. lying in the dark, replaying a conversation from 6 years ago that nobody else even remembers. Your body is exhausted. Nothing is wrong. And still, it loops. So why does the most advanced mind on Earth spend its nights torturing itself over nothing? Here's the first thing you need to know. You are not broken. The looping, the spiraling, the 2 a.m. courtroom in your head where you defend yourself against someone who isn't even there, that's not a malfunction. It's a feature. One of the oldest, most powerful features your brain ever evolved. And by the end of this, you'll understand something stranger. The exact trait keeping you awake tonight is the reason your species is still alive. And the thing that could quiet it is something we threw away on purpose. Let's start with the machine itself. In 2001, a neuroscientist named Marcus Rachel noticed something strange. He was studying brains at rest, people lying in scanners, doing nothing, just waiting. The assumption was simple. A resting brain should go quiet. Instead, the moment people stopped focusing on a task, a whole network lit up. Rachel called it the default mode network, the state your brain falls into when there's nothing to do, the engine of mind wandering, memory, self-reflection, and overthinking. Here's the unsettling part. Your brain doesn't switch off when you rest. It switches inward. The default isn't silence. The default is you, thinking about you. So why would evolution build a mind that never stops? To answer that, you have to go back to the world it was built for. For 300,000 years, your ancestors lived in a place where one bad assumption could kill you. Imagine you're crossing open ground at dusk, and at the far edge of your vision, something low moves, then goes still. It might be nothing. It might be teeth. The ancestor who shrugged and walked on was right almost every time, until the one time he wasn't, and then he was gone, and his easygoing genes went with him. But the ancestor who stopped cold, who assumed the worst, who lay awake mapping a safer route home, that one survived. Evolutionary biologist Randolph Nessa calls this the smoke detector principle. An alarm that cries wolf 100 times is annoying. An alarm that's silent during the one real fire is dead. So evolution tuned you to false alarms. Every jump at a shadow, every twist of dread, every sleepless replay. That's the price of a brain that chose to be wrong 1,000 times rather than dead once. Your anxiety isn't irrational. It's the inheritance of everyone who was scared enough to survive. But predators were only half of it. The deadliest threat your ancestors faced wasn't an animal. It was each other. Or rather, the loss of each other. For most of human history, being cast out of your group wasn't embarrassing. It was a death sentence. Alone, you couldn't hunt, couldn't sleep safely, couldn't survive the winter. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar argues that human brains grew so large precisely to handle this. To track every favor owed, every grudge held, every shift in who sat beside whom. We evolved a mind built to monitor our place in the group every waking second. And that mind is still running. When you lie awake replaying a conversation, did I say something wrong? Do they think less of me? Did I break something? You are not being neurotic. You are running a 300,000-year-old program that treats a social misstep like a threat to your life. Because for your ancestors, it was. And then there's the strangest power of all. You can travel through time, not your body, your mind. Psychologist Endel Tulving called it mental time travel. And as far as we know, humans are the only species that can do it fully. A deer can't picture next Tuesday. A wolf can't rehearse a fight it's dreading, but you can sit in a chair and run 1,000 futures. Every outcome, every disaster, every version of the conversation you haven't had yet. This is the engine that built civilization. It let us store food for a winter we couldn't see. Plan a hunt days ahead. Imagine a tool before we carved it. Prospection, the power to live in a tomorrow that hasn't arrived yet. might be the most important thing the human brain ever learned to do. But here's the catch. The same engine that lets you plan tomorrow also lets you dread it. The same imagination that pictures success rehearses failure on a loop. The gift and the curse are the same machine. In 2020, researchers at Queen's University tried to count it. Tracking the brain's activity, they estimated the average person has around 6,000 distinct thoughts in a single day. One bleeding into the next, almost none of it chosen. You don't decide to think most of your thoughts. They arrive. And in a mind tuned for threats, built to guard your standing, able to simulate every possible future, a huge share of those uninvited thoughts point the same two directions. Backward at what went wrong. Forward at what might. So here's the turn. Overthinking is not the malfunction. The environment is. Every part of this machine worked beautifully in the world that made it. Threat detection kept you alive when threats were real, rare, and physical. Social monitoring kept you inside the group when the group was 30 people you'd known your whole life. Future simulation kept you fed. But you don't live in that world anymore. Now the threats never resolve. A shape in the dark ends. You run or you don't, and it's over. But an unanswered text doesn't end. A vague comment from your boss doesn't end. A notification promising news that might be bad doesn't end. Your ancient threat detector fires all day at dangers that never arrive and never leave. The social brain that evolved to track 30 faces now scrolls past 1,000 strangers before breakfast, measuring your life against people who don't exist past their highlight reel. And the simulation engine, built to plan a single hunt, now runs every catastrophe at once, with no campfire to put it out. And that's the cruelest part. Your ancestors had a time built for the wandering mind. For most of human history, people slept in two phases: waking in the dark between first and second sleep, and simply lying there, calm and reflective. In a window, science later found was flooded with the same chemistry as meditation. That was where the spiral had somewhere safe to go. We took it away. We flooded the night with light and screens, packed our days with unfinished threats, and gave the oldest part of the human mind nowhere to rest, and called the result a disorder. So why do you overthink everything? Because you were built by people who survived by overthinking. Every ancestor who slept soundly through a real danger left no children. Everyone who lay awake, afraid, planning, replaying. Those are the ones you come from. You are the descendant of the worriers, the careful, the ones who couldn't let it go. The deer forgets, the wolf moves on. You remember because remembering, predicting, turning it over in the dark, is the price of a mind powerful enough to imagine a world that doesn't exist yet. Most of the time, that power builds things. At 3 a.m., it just builds fear. You were never overthinking nothing. You were overthinking a world that stopped existing 10,000 years ago, with a mind that never got the message. The deer can't choose. You still can. And maybe that's the one thought worth keeping.